Joining me right now is Florida Congressman. He is Armed Services Committee member, the only Green Beret in Congress, Michael Waltz. Congressman, it's great to have you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. You heard Secretary Pompeo. It's exactly what you've been saying, that this decision to close down Bagram, to get out of Afghanistan, was all based on optics. He wanted a good headline for September 11th. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Maria. There was, and I've asked a number of officials what was driving that deadline, what operationally or from an intelligence standpoint was driving the deadline. And finally, after a lot of questioning, they admitted it was just coming from the White House. It was totally arbitrary. You know, on that strike, I've had to call in those types of strikes. I've had to order them as a commander. And the biggest piece of it is you need multiple forms of intelligence. You need people on the ground verifying what that drone operator is seeing. You need different types of sensors. You need signals intelligence verifying it. And clearly they got that wrong. And I do want to find out if they were under political pressure to do something in response to an attack on our 13 Marines, which, by the way, should not have been there. They should have been up at Bagram, not in trying to defend an airport in the middle of 4 million people. But the point is, we now have none of that on the ground. We have no troops, no intelligence, no sensors, no diplomats even. And the Biden administration continues to sell us this fiction that sending drones from thousands of miles away without any of that other type of intelligence. By the way, they have to fly over Pakistan, who is supporting the Taliban and could turn off that air corridor at any moment. And that with that, we're just as safe as we were with a couple of thousand troops on the ground that Trump left in January. It's a fiction. I'm calling it over the rainbow counterterrorism because that's what it is. And I'm glad to see in the polling the American people see it for what it is and that we're less safe.
Yeah, you've said a couple times when we've been together that you think this is setting us up for another terrorist attack. 9/11 2.0. I mean, look, this week kicks off the United Nations General Assembly. President Biden is going to speak tomorrow, and it comes as we have a worsening border crisis, a failed withdrawal from Afghanistan, a recent submarine deal with Australia that angered France. He's going to see all of these counterparts at the UN General Assembly. Meanwhile, look at these pictures in the face of all of these crises. Congressman, we've got Biden seen biking at the beach over the weekend. He just took the weekend off, just like the weekend before. He took the weekend off and went to campaign for Gavin Newsom. Now he's biking at the beach. What are you expecting him to say on the world stage tomorrow? And what are your concerns in terms of where this is going?
Well, and remember, you know, in the middle of the worst of the Afghanistan crisis, Blinken, until the night before Kabul fell, was up in Martha's Vineyard. And the president hid at Camp David rather than addressing the world and addressing the American people. So this is absolutely a theme in this absence of leadership, and our adversaries smell the weakness. They're going to fill the void. A couple of things that I just want to point out in terms of the fallout from Afghanistan. India is a big loser here. China now has another ally against India with its China to Pakistan to Taliban axis. We are going to see these billions of dollars of weapons migrate into the Kashmir at the hands of the Taliban's buddies, a group called Lashkar-e-Taiba that's focused on India. Iran is a big winner. China will be able to complete its land bridge and Belt and Road to Iran through Pakistan. We talked about the trillions in critical minerals, lithium, cobalt, graphite, copper that China now has access to. That was where? In Afghanistan. But I think the bigger piece is, remember, Russia invaded Crimea just a few months after the Olympics in 2014. And I have called for a boycott of the 2022 Beijing Genocide Games. But you're going to see a massive propaganda boost on top of this massive propaganda loss in credibility that the United States is facing. And I truly fear for Taiwan in the next few years.
How terrible. Real quick, do you think that China is right now negotiating a status of forces agreement to take over Bagram? And would China invade Taiwan before that Beijing Olympics?
No, I think it will be after. after they enjoy the world, the world basically shrugging their shoulders at all of their abuses.
That's what I thought.
And flying an American flag and the world's flags in Beijing and giving them that global platform to celebrate their view of the world and their form of government over freedom and democracy. But the other thing, mark my words, Maria, I think you're going to see in Biden's speech in the UN is you're going to hear a lot of COVID, talk of COVID and the need for the UN and the World Health Organization and others. What you won't hear is holding China accountable for its massive cover-up and the millions that are dead because of it. That's what you're not going to hear from Biden, and that is shameful.
That is shameful and so disturbing as the CCP wants to overtake the United States as the #1 superpower. Congressman, thank you. Thanks for all you're doing. Michael Waltz.